All right. So I'm trying to find a lot of stuff. This is stay focused. I'm just using an iPhone. But this here's a Marlin 917 bolt. And I had a friend that the striker cam pin fell out. The red nipple there, this little piece sticking out, that's a striker cam pin. It holds all this together. I don't have the rifle where I'd show you, but I was going to do a complete disassembly on this thing because I keep seeing disassemblies on the Marlin bolts, but nobody's actually breaking them all the way down, and people's asking how to replace the spring or replace the end cap or replace the cam pin. Nobody shows how to do that. I was going to go ahead and do that here, and hopefully it'll help somebody out like it, you know, I kind of had to learn by trial and error. What reason I'm in possession of it is a friend of mine lost the striker cam pin. When they took all this apart, they removed this screw here without holding on to anything. Pew, away everything went. You know, so he lost a bunch of parts out of it, and I've rebuilt the boat. But let's go ahead and start here. And a lot of videos on how to take this apart. So this 920, or what is it, 917? I think there's a 925 17 VS. The 15 YN, which is their youth rifle, the 800, the 880, the SS, the 1700. There's all kinds of, use the same style boat. So I couldn't find the striker cam pin for the 917 because it's kind of, I guess, a discontinued rifle, and they've updated a lot of stuff. But I bought the 15 YN bolt cam pin, and had to do a little bit of modification to get it to fit in there, but it works 100%, and we ain't had no issues yet. But I'll start by taking this apart, and I hope this iPhone will stay focused on this. But to remove this, the front half of your rotating bolt here, you just twist it and it's going to pop out. There's a little groove notch in there that allows it to slide back in. You can see the little groove notch right here. So we can keep this thing focused. You have to bear with me, I just kind of got this phone setting up funny. But to remove the firing pin and this clip right here, that's your shell extractor. There's a little ledge right here. Get a screwdriver underneath of it. Raise the little arm here and raise up on it. This lighting's probably pretty bad. Slowly work this off. It'll rotate and pop out. See how that's starting to come off there? That little piece here. Get the firing pin out. Get your firing pin. Now there's a little bitty spring that's down inside of here. Do not lose this little spring. That's what sets back here to keep tension off the inside the bolt. You know, it sits down in there, you know, vice versa, the other way around, but it sits down in there to keep tension off the bolt so nothing don't hit. Well, that's your bolt right there, completely disassembled on that end. Now, this is where it kind of gets intriguing. You can remove this screw, but keep pressure in. First, you want to decock, you know, because this is in the fire position. That's why it's showing red. A little red symbol down in here. So to decock it, you can pull back on this bolt and turn it. And it'll slide down into here. Now it's freed up, you know, it's loose. But I always keep pressure on it just in case something was to fly out. And remove this screw. Do not lose it. Then you can remove this whole assembly. So now you just got a bare bolt. This is what I was talking about here. This is the striker cam pin. Got that little red dot. I'm not sure if this thing's focusing very well, but that little red dot there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 components here. 7 if you count this little piece here, but that's got a punch in it. You have to do some for real work to get that out. But this is, if you remove this striker cam pin, this stuff's gonna come, I mean, it's a crazy tight spring. So you definitely wanna keep pressure on the end piece. And I really don't have any good way to do this on camera because I need both hands and I need a lot of upper strength here to do this. So I'm gonna pull away from the camera and I'm gonna remove this cam pin by pushing this out. In order to receive, I'll get it so far out so you can see how I'm gonna do it. So see, I'm pushing up on the pin itself and it's gonna pop this little tip out. Let me get this thing set on autofocus, guys. We can get it figured out here. Should autofocus now or not? It sure ain't wanting to focus. Oh, it focused, look at that. We gotta get a better system for this. But yeah, now I'm gonna completely remove that pin. And keep pressure on the spring itself. There you go. So that's it in a nutshell. So, because a lot of people are trying to figure out how to replace this spring. I believe, you know, you can buy this spring in an upgraded kit. I said this is the piece that was missing. So he couldn't keep nothing together, right? All this was in there, and when they installed it, they installed everything backwards. So they didn't, you know, they didn't have anything set right. Well, that's how you get the cam pin out. Like I said, I bought the 15YS cam pin, and you can see where the edge of the bolt here, or the edge of the, is shiny. I had to run some sandpaper, stuck it in a drill, run some sandpaper to sand that down. Now I'm gonna put all this junk back together. So this little piece will come off if you knock that roll pin out of there, but like I said, I wasn't gonna mess with that. This has got to be lined up a certain way to fit inside the bolt, but you can do that after you've installed everything. I'm gonna set all this on here. All right, let me see. I don't know if you guys can see this. There's a notch right here. It's notched out inside of this. That side has to match with the larger notch side on this one. There's a larger hole. One side's smaller. Horrible lighting. One side's smaller, one side's larger. Larger side needs to go on that, so this cam pin will seat down inside the hole. Needs a seat. So that's the problem I was having. It was setting up like that. It wasn't going in, wasn't allowing it to close. So we did a little bit of modification there, sanding her down to get it to seat inside the hole all the way. Had to rotate it somewhat to get it in, but let's put it all back together here. So you have this is your striker. It's gonna hit your firing pin to make it fire, your spring, this little washer that holds it all internally, and then the end cap. It looks like I'm gonna have to do this off of camera here. Get it all back together, because it is hard. You guys can just skip through this part while I'm fumbling around trying to figure this thing back out. I don't even know if you could see how I did that. Now I got the pin setting back on there. Just got to get her in the hole. Make sure she's good and flush. Now, to line all this back up, which, hey, I'm pretty close, but you want to get that hole lined up so you can get that screw back in there. Oh, look, I'm dead on right there. So we'll go ahead and drop the screw back in it. Miss it. You have to rotate it. So that's what I was saying. You can line this up by grabbing this little pin, this cam, and rotating it. Yeah, she's dead on the money. Oh, magnetic screwdriver. Have to bear with me, guys. I'm clumsy. All right. I'd advise if you got Smith and screwdrivers or something to use them, or something that's, you know, made exactly for the bolt. This is not, but just old snap-on, teeny tiny. So there, that's all back together again. See, she sets flush, and then when you pull out, it's super hard to pull. You almost need the rifle to do it. All right, now she's back in the cock position. Then we're gonna go ahead and put all this back in. Remember, this little spring has got to go down inside. And there's a little groove it's gonna set down in there. And I know you guys can't see it down in there. There's down inside of here, it's gonna set. And this pin is gonna go on the back side of that spring. So it should drop in there just right. Boom. See, now it's in there, so when you put tension on it, it'll bounce back. See a pin come back? You put this on, you're just gonna put it on there and push. Right? But see, for it to seat all the way, there's a groove inside the firing pin right here. This groove has to be pushed forward to allow that to snap in. So you kind of gotta finesse it a little bit. Push forward on the firing pin. And just keep working that legs around. Hey, tearing stuff up now, boys. All right. Just want to make sure both them seat properly. This one's not seated all the way. Get her down in there. Bam. Both sides are good. Firing pin setting right. See how it's got that little groove right here. But yeah, when the rod goes in there now, it's going to hit that firing pin. Bam. That's what's going to make it pop out the front of the bolt right here. But you can just twist this and you'll feel it slip in there. But there's a little notch that's down inside here. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's a little bitty notch right here that you can see the little shiny spot where they've ground it down. Some kind of little roll pin. It's going to ride inside this little notch right here on your bolt. A little notch right there. You can line the two up just like this. Push it in, turn it. It's all in line. Put it back in your rifle. Make sure everything's empty. You didn't chamber around. You can pull the trigger and let that down. Now, I believe to get the bolt out, you would work the action, slide this back, and then pull the trigger and continue pulling. I believe that's how most bolt action rifles are. That's complete disassembly. If you wanted to break it down and replace that spring, I think like JP Springs or somebody sells a spring to replace that to make it a little bit better. And the cam pin, I looked up the schematics and found them at Brownells and Numrich, I believe, was another gun site that had everything for them. But Brownells had every single thing in stock for this bolt. I mean, everything from the strikers, the striker cam pins, the end caps, everything for it. So Brownells is definitely a good place to try. I mean, you can always just Google search it. But, man, I hope this helps somebody. Like I said, I had a hell of a time figuring out how to get it all back together and kind of learned on my own there. I've seen a few people taking everything apart and how to do this and how to do that, but nobody ever took that spring off or the striker cam pin or the end cap, which can get really dirty. You know, this is a moving part, but I hope that helps you guys. I know it's not the best angle and it's kind of horrible focus, but I hope that gives somebody some information. All right, well, Godspeed. Have a good one.